Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my weird voice. If you watched last week's video, you'll hear that I actually woke up yesterday morning with a really weird throat. Doesn't hurt or anything, but yeah, no idea what's going on. So if I sound a bit different to usual, you know why. So, as I also said in last week's video, welcome to Burnham's Mere. So yeah, a bit more wildlife photography on the go. And again, if you also watched last week's video, I said that, yeah, the harsh skies, harsh sun and clear blue skies were going to be a problem for wildlife photography. It's gone really overcast, and the photography gods are smiling on me today. Let's just hope the wildlife gods are smiling on me as well. So, this week's video, I want to talk about one thing that I've noticed that is so awesome about wildlife photography. And we'll come back to that. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and find myself a spot just to park up in and just sit for a little while and see if I can actually photograph any birds. I've not actually been to the water's edge really, so I have no idea what we've got down here. You can hear the sound of the small birds, but yeah, let's crack on and go find a nice spot to sit in. Okay, so I'm not sure you're going to be able to hear me over those geese. They're really not happy about something, I'll tell you. So I've managed to have a wander around Burnham here. I found a couple of spots that weren't right. Nice and clear, good view of the water, but unfortunately they were facing right into the sun, which isn't great, unless I wanted to take specifically pictures of silhouetted birds. So I managed to find a spot where I've got a clear view over to my left-hand side, a fairly clear view over to my right-hand side, which is probably where more of the birds will be. But I'm quite sheltered as well, because behind the camera you probably won't be able to see. You probably see behind me there is some silver birches and stuff. I'm kind of actually out in the water, because the water levels are so high. I'm sure when it's drier it won't be this waterlogged, and it'll be an ideal place to come and sit. Now I'm just playing the waiting game to see if any birds actually come within shooting range. That sounds quite sinister. Now, they've not been good for photography, but I have seen gadwalls, widgeons, mallards, coots, moorhens, geese, as you can hear, swans. A couple of other birds I haven't recognised. There's some cormorants as well, sat up in some of the trees up there. Look more like a blooming pterodactyl. It's like Jurassic Park. They're huge. So I'm obviously going to sit here for a while, see if we get any more birds around, and we'll come back and talk about the topic of this week's video in one moment. So as I was having no luck shooting birds on the water, I decided to actually go for a little wander around and try and follow the sound of the small birds to see if I could actually capture anything today. Let's have a look to see what small birds we can find. Okay, so my time at Burnham has come for the day. So obviously we've tried to find some decent locations for the water-based birds. And then I've just been wandering around more in the wooded area to see if I could actually get some shots of some smaller birds. Obviously, if any of the images came out alright, you'll have seen them by now. My voice has gone really croaky, so I'm not going to do much more on camera work. But we're going to come back to probably the most awesome thing about wildlife photography, and that is, no matter where you live, you can get out and you can practice. So, to give a bit more substance to that, as I say, been a landscape photographer, living where I live. I'm not a big fan of living around the fens, but for me to go do some landscape photography, I'm looking at, I'd say, Peak District 2.5 hours, Yorkshire Dales 3.5 hours, Yorkshire Moors 3.5 hours, Lake District, Scotland, Wales further. So it makes it really, really difficult to get out and do stuff like that. Wildlife photography, I mean, you can do it from your back garden, but then I've got places like this, like Burnham's Mere, which is only 15 minutes away. And if you go onto Google Maps and you actually have a look, you can find a raft of places where you can come and you can just practice your bird photography. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously everywhere has its limitations. I'm not exactly going to come down here and expect to photograph puffins. I'm not going to go to my local woods to see my grey squirrels and expect to find some reds there as well. You know, you can travel to find things like that, but if you're just after getting out with the camera and practicing, you can do that anywhere. Another key point as well, and it's something I've started to do, but I don't know how successful it will be, is set up your own hide in your back garden. Now, you can live in the middle of a city and there are still birds around. If you put feeders out, you will attract those birds. It might not be the most attractive setting, but you can still practice your bird photography. So there you go. Get out and practice. You've got no excuse not to. You're only a short journey away from a wildlife area. Bird photography probably easier to practice than something like deers or anything like that. But if it's just purely practice or just to get out with the camera, you've got no excuse not to. So there we go. Probably the most awesome thing about wildlife photography is your ability to go out with your camera and just practice anywhere, regardless of where you live. Yeah, so I'm going to sign out now anyway. Obviously, if you've liked the video, give us the old thumbs up and drop some subscribes from down the bottom because we've got plenty of stuff coming up on the channel. And yeah, this is Mike out. Take care and be safe, everyone. Peace.